So you own an Ender 3 and you want to put a BLTouch on it, and you also want to do it with the Silent mainboard. This is a video of how to flash the firmware and make it fit on that board. Let's go. What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. I know the world is going through some crazy times still. So I have an interesting one for you today. This is if you would like to install BLTouch on a Silent motherboard. A lot of people gravitate now to the, I personally like the Big Tree Tech, what's it, the mini version 3. But I did this job for a friend of mine, and it was a bit of a headache trying to find firmware that would fit on the board that he bought. He had bought this one right here, the version 115 Silent mainboard, and it has the little Sanguino chip. If I zoom in here, you'll see this chip right here. It's a Sanguino 1284P. And it's only an 8-bit chip, so there is not a lot of room. And if we go to flash some of these firmwares, they are huge. I have used 3 different firmwares, and this is why I'm doing this video, because on the third one I finally was able to get it to fit. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. We don't need this anymore. The first thing that we're going to need here is you're going to need the Arduino IDE software. So to get that, go over here to arduino.cc, go to software and downloads, and you want this right here. The current one is 1.8.12. You're going to want the whether Windows installer, Mac, Linux, etc., etc. Go ahead, click that, download it, and install it. Once you get that, head over to Marlin, which is just marlinfw.org. Now, I did mention there was 3 different firmwares I have tried. I tried the TH3D, which I had trouble with. There was no way that I found to activate a bed level without modifying G-codes in your slicer, and that to me sucks. I want to level the thing once a week, and I want to do it from the printer, and it didn't allow. So that firmware fit easily, but it wouldn't allow me to do what I wanted to do. So I went over here to Marlin to talk about, let's see, the second one. And as you can see, they're over here. They've got a 2.0.5.3. Now, this is a bloated firmware. This is designed for the new 32-bit chips. I tried it on the Silent board, and it was way too bloated. I think I had like 9,000 bytes too much information than that little chip would handle. So I decided to try one of these earlier releases. So this is the one I went with right here, the 1191. And you're going to want this right here, the 11-X zip file. Go ahead and click on that and download it, and place that on your system somewhere. My system is a mess here. So I placed that here, so you can go ahead to this and open it up. We're going to go to, we need in here in the Marlin, we need the examples. Go to Creality and then find your machine. This is the Ender 3. Go ahead and copy all this. Right mouse click. You can cut it. I just copy it. Bring that over back to the Marlin screen here. Let's see, we want to put that, where did we put that? Creality, Ender 3, boot screen, status screen, configuration H. So right here, this is where you want to put it. So go right click and paste it on this screen. This is the same screen as your example configurations. Once you've done that, that sets the firmware to your machine. Now you can go ahead back into this Marlin folder and scroll all the way down. You're looking for the Marlin Arduino file. As long as you have Arduino IDE, go ahead and double click this and it will start Arduino IDE. So I'm going to go line by line with this code and show you exactly what I've done with it to make it fit. There are two things that we're going to need to do before this is going to be able to flash to our motherboard. And let's do that straight off the gate here. So the things that we're going to want is to address the board and the processor. Now, if we go over here to the board, scroll all the way down to the bottom, you can see I have Sanguino listed. You will not, likely not. So to get that Sanguino, we got to go over here to Preferences under File, click that, and then we're going to want this guy right here. This, if we copy this whole thing and then paste it in here, I'll put a link in the description below for this and for the other web pages that we were using. But go ahead and OK that, and then OK this again. Now we're going to go back into Tools, go into Boards Manager. Let me do that a little slower for you here. That's, sorry about that. I know you can rewind. Come on. So we're going to go into Boards, scroll over to Boards Manager, and we are going to want Sanguino. So S-A-N-G, and then it comes up with this one right here. There was going to be, right where it says remove, there should be an install key. Go ahead and install that. Once you're set with that, it takes care of this. So we can go scroll all the way down here and select Sanguino. That is the chip on the Silent motherboard. The Sanguino, what I say was the 1284P. Sanguino covers them all. Now the next thing here is we got to get this processor, the Atmega 1284. The issue is you're not going to have what we need here. We have 8 megahertz and 16 megahertz. We need this one here, the 1284P. So in order to get that, we got to go over to libraries. So manage libraries. Go ahead and click that. It might take a little bit because my machine is doing a lot right now. And then I'm going to go over here to installed so I can find it just a little bit easier because I don't remember exactly what it's called. You can do filter search, but because I've had it already installed, I'll tell you what to type in a moment. So you're going to type in this U8GLIB by Oliver. And as you can see, I already have it installed. Go ahead and select the latest version. As you can see, I have 1.19.1 installed. So that's all we need to do there. Go ahead and close that. When that's closed, go back into Tools, go to Processor, and we want to select this one right here, the Atmega 1284, 16 megahertz. It also covers the Atmega 1284P, which is what we're using. Okay, so that's the board and the processor. Now the port, that's just where your USB port is plugged into on the printer. So when you plug your printer in, that should open up a new port. Mine is COM14, I believe. And that's all that we need to do there. So now let's get into the meat and potatoes, of this. So we're going to come into here and we're going to go to Configuration H. And this is a whole lot of code. And some of you are looking at this with your head spinning. Don't worry. I am too. I am not a coder, but I have learned enough of this that I can safely show you guys, and we're not going to screw anything up. Because as you're going to do this, you'll realize that this is actually a lot easier than it looks. So some of the first things that we're going to do is we're going to go down here. If you ever need to shut anything off to gain space, you can shut these guys off. Now to turn something on or to turn something off, like you'll see here, this is written in green. You'll watch, if I put 2 slash marks, it goes to gray. So that's comment out. If I say comment out, that's what that means. If I say activate, that's what that means, deleting those 2 items. Okay. So I have those on because I did find a a setting that I was able to shut off that allowed me to do all this. Okay, so if we scroll down here, and again, I'm going to show you everything. I left the baud rate at 11,5200. There are some places that tell you to change it to 250,000. Mine worked with this, so I left it with that. Okay, so as you can see, the earlier thing that we did, we made our machine, the copy and paste that we did earlier with the these files here, the example configurations. This is what they do right here. This is set up for our machine right here. And if you wanted to change this, I mean, you can just copy this or delete that out and write whatever you wanted. If you wanted your name, your printer name, whatever, you can do that. If you don't want a custom name, you can comment it out. But we're not going to do that. So if we're on the silent board, there's a few things that we're going to have to do differently. So I'm going to continue scrolling here, and you can, if you want to find any of this, you can just hit Control F, go here, and then just type in what you want and click find, and it will bring you right to it. I'm going to go line by line because I don't remember everything that I commented out or in or what have you. So going line by line, it also allows you to see exactly what I've done, even if I just don't talk about it. So there's that, because the machine that I have done this to is running pretty good. So we're going to come down here to, you can do max bed power. I left that alone. You can do prevent controlled extrusion. I suggest leaving that on. That doesn't allow the extruder motor to turn if your nozzle is not heated up. And then there's a min temp that you can do. So if you're printing with some ungodly hot stuff, you can turn that up a little bit. So there's that. And there's lengthy extrude. I didn't touch any of that. Thermal protection, you want this on. It is on by default. That is to keep your house from burning down. There are some people here that would turn this on here, the in-stop pull-up. I did not. Also, they changed this to true. I did not. This right here for the silent board is definitely something you want to do. So in order to find this, you can do, type this in here, the TMC. Actually, let me show you. So you'll go Control F and you type this in, TMC 2208, and then click find, and it will bring you right here. Okay, it's listed somewhere right here, 2208 standalone. Go ahead and copy that. What you want to do here, this is all going to be listed as this A4988. So let me show you how that would look. So it'd be A4988, okay, and then this would be commented out just like that. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like when you get down here. Same as here, same as here, same as here. This is all going to be the same. So what I'm going to do with each of these is, like I said, I'm going to copy that. I'm going to take this and I'm going to paste it right here, and then I'm going to delete these two. So you want to do that for the X right here. This is your X, this is your Y, and this is your Z axis. Then you want extruder 0. That defines your stepper motors, stepper drivers rather, and you want to activate all three of your motors here, and then activate your extruder motor here. If you don't do that, it's not going to run them to their full potential. You'll see here your stepper timing and enable advanced options. They're not supported unless you do that. So go ahead and do that. The next thing that we want to do is down here. Let's see. That's on by default. That's on by default right here. So we want to do, when we come up to this, this is going to look like this. Oops, cut. Okay, that's going to look like that. What we want to do below define BLTouch, we want to put define servo 0 underscore pin dash space 27. Okay, and the other thing that we want to do is comment out that. Whoops. 1, 2. Okay, what this does, this activates BLTouch, and this tells us it's on a pin 27 board, because with the silent board there's no BLTouch connection, so you need to use the pin 27 board. It's just a board that clips right in to, and I'll show you here. Let's see, pin 27 board, 27 board, Ender 3 Pro, and this will bring us to this guy here. What this does is, this was where your monitor plugs in, and I'll show you a picture of the monitor here. Okay, this is the board. This is not the silent board, but it's still in the same place. Your LCD monitor plugs here, so you're gonna plug directly this thing. As you can see, there's a thing underneath it right here. It's gonna plug into this, and then you plug your BLTouch into these 3 pins here. That's what a pin 37 board is. So if I go back to this, we have to tell Marlin that we're using that board. Okay, then here we can go down to this. We want to tell Marlin that where our nozzle is in relation to where our BLTouch is. For me, it's -40, so anything to the left of your nozzle, if you put the BLTouch on the left side, it's going to be a negative number. You measure, that's in millimeters, from your nozzle to the tip of the BLTouch. So if it's out here, you're still going to measure from here to here. You want that distance, not diagonal distance, okay? Same thing here. You want to measure from your nozzle and then how far forward. So if it's here, you want to measure from here to here to get this measurement. It's not a diagonal this way, it's straight on, even though it's over here. And mine is a -10 because it's forward of the nozzle. This is activated by default. The other thing that we can do down here is we can change our travel speed between probes to 10,000 as opposed to this 8,000. I left it at 8,000. And the reason being because I was looking for stuff to save space with. Okay, then we got this stuff is on by default. So software end stops. Those are fine there. Filament runout detection. We are not running that, so that is off. And that is off by default. Bed leveling. This is the one you want here. This is going to be your 9-point bed level. It's a mesh level. So go ahead and comment that out. Now this takes up a bunch of space as well as the BLTouch. So just know that once you activate those two, we're going to have to deactivate some other stuff. So there is that. And auto bed leveling linear, that's on by default. Okay, we're going to continue on. Most of this stuff is on by default and you want to leave it on. Here's another thing that I turned on, LCD bed leveling. And what this does is it gives you another option in your menu. So go ahead and comment that out. This allows you to utilize your Ender 3, walk up to the machine and hit bed level. And it will level, it will run the 9 points and then your bed's level as long as your Z offset is set. And there's good videos for that. I don't have his machine to record one. He already took delivery of that, but there are a couple of really good videos on how to show you how to get the Z offset. But this LCD bed leveling, activate it. It's great. I love it. And then this way you don't need to put anything in your G codes to activate bed leveling, because I don't want my printer leveling before each print. It doesn't make sense. So That was why I did not use the TH3D. That didn't exist. You want to activate Z-Safe homing. What that does is it picks your probe up before it goes anywhere, so you don't break your BLTouch. Okay. Define screw correction is off. I don't know what that does. If you know, let me know in the comments below. There's a few other things that I have shut off down here. The temperatures. If you ever wanted to, you know how it says in your menu where it says preheat PLA or preheat, what's the other one? ABS. You can change those right here. Okay. Same thing with your fan. Define nozzle park feature. I'm pretty sure I either shut that off or it is off by default. Clean nozzle feature, maybe you can turn that on. I don't know. I left it off. Here's where you would do it right here. Nozzle clean feature. I left that off. Print job timer, which is right here. That's on by default. Print counter. I'm assuming that keeps track to how many prints. I don't know. Again, let me know in the comments below if I missed something or if you know something about this that I don't. This is not my forte. I just happened to learn this recently. So define, here's a big one to save space on your card. Right here, define slim LCD menus. Now you can get, if you're gonna control this with Octoprint or something like that, you can comment this one out. But because I use the printer and the person that I gave it to, he uses it directly from the printer, this gets rid of all those little menu items that we don't use, like nozzle jerk and stuff like that. You know, the novice is really not going to be messing around with those, so I decided that this was really good to get rid of. And this gets rid of like 14,000 bytes or something. It's a pretty big one, and this was the one that allowed me to do everything that I needed to do for those earlier things that we activated. So the other thing that I shut off here was define speaker. And so this is activated by default, so it will look like that. Go ahead and comment that out. I don't even know that it has a buzzer on it, but we shut it off. So reverse menu direction, I wonder if that would be fun, just so you can navigate the menu forward and backwards. That might be interesting. So it would roll as you're going through it. Okay. And there's really not much left of this here. There is one more menu though that I want to go to, and that's where I turned off a lot of stuff. You just want to look through the rest of this and show you guys what it looks like. Because yeah, I don't think I changed anything else on the rest of this. Controller type, extra features. This is stuff that I wouldn't screw around with, PWM and stuff like that. PWM, that's, yeah, pulse width modulation for your motors. If you're not really into knowing what you're doing with that, I wouldn't mess with it. So this ends configuration H. Now we're going to go over here to configuration underscore ADV for advanced. And this is where I shut off a few things to save on memory space on that little tiny chip. And if you're ever wondering why the Ender 3 sells for the price that it does, is because it's got that tiny chip and it's got the loud stepper drivers and all that sort of stuff. So in this, let's scroll down to, and again, if you want, Control F, and you can bring up this menu and find exactly what I'm talking about. So we have auto temp, that's on by default. Extruder runout prevention, that's if you've got a sensor for that. I don't. Thank you, Adam Ross. That was awesome. And by the way, he is number 500. Woo! Awesome. Absolutely awesome. So let's go to... Yeah, this is off by default. This is on by default. There's park cooling, homing, define late enable. This is all, I didn't touch any of this. Dual carriage, this is on by default. If enabled BLTouch, you can set a delay for your BLTouch. This, I believe, is set to 200, and I set it to 500. And this is the delay. I actually wonder if it's on 500 and you can move it down to 200, because this is the delay in milliseconds. If you wanted to speed up your probing. But here's the thing. Now, if you're only going to do the LCD bed leveling and you're leveling once a week or once every 15, 20 prints, does it matter? I don't think it does. So I left this alone at the 500. Define BLTouch in a 5-volt mode. That's off by default. So I know there's a few things that I changed in this, and they must be down farther because I am not seeing any of them yet. And there's one especially that tells you if you want to save space to turn it off. So this is the additional features. I believe this is where I shut off a lot. And by a lot, like I mean like three things here. So there's, let's see, end stop hit, auto report status. This is all stock, and we are halfway through. This is baby stepping. That's the way it was. Section leveling, arch support right here. I shut this off. There's not too many slicers that you take advantage of this, and if you want to find it, you can just go disable this feature to save, or arch ARC_support. That's a good one, and right here it tells you to save 30,226 bytes. That might not sound like a lot, but you are relegated to, I think, 100,000. And this program on its own is probably like 85,000. So it's kind of tight fitting. So support G5. And I believe there's one or two more that I turned off. Let's see. Extra fan speed, that was off. Advanced pause feature, I have no idea what that does. I could take a guess, but I don't know. That's on by default. All this type of stuff, I don't know what it is. I'm not touching it. Motor driver status, that's off by default. Hybrid threshold, off by default. Sensorless homing, off by default. And I know there's like two more that I have done in this. So these are all stock values. Experimental iBus. Right? Did that even say I2C bus? Spindle laser enable. That's off. Oh, filament width sensor. That sounds like something that might be interesting to have on a machine. That is off by default. Auto report temperatures, that's on. Disabled, no workspace. We are getting close to the end here. Action on kill, that's power off. Pause and resume. So there is in this a way to do power, like for power failure. I believe that's off by default. I have left it off. I don't recall going across it. I was like trying to show you that, but I don't see it. So it is what it is. Let me see if, oops, yeah, don't hit multiple buttons when you're trying to do that. So this is, let's see, power off. Okay, so there's no power off. Let's see if there's power here. Anyway, it does exist. I have it off. Oops, sorry about that. Anyway, so once you go through both the configuration H and the configuration, and you have my settings that I just showed you, this will fit. And to see if it'll fit, you can go over here and verify. You don't need your machine plugged in for this. This is just verifying it knows what we're using because we selected it here. So it's going to go through and verify this sketch with all these menus and see if it's going to fit on our little Sanguino chip. And this might take a while. I'll speed this up from here. Okay, so as you can see down here, our sketch uses 125036 bytes. That's 96% of the storage space allowed on that chip, which the maximum right here is 130,048 bytes. So we are going to fit with this. If you don't have the same settings, you're going to get some different numbers. If it comes through all in white like this, you are good to go. Plug in your machine and go ahead and tap that upload button. And what that'll do is that will recompile this whole thing and it will flash onto the machine. I don't have the machine here, so I'm not going to do it. But if this passes this verify, it will flash to the machine. Once it's flashed to the machine, you're good to go. So that's just a look at how to fit an earlier version of Marlin onto the Silent board for the Ender 3. I've been told that it couldn't be done, and I did it. So here it is. I hope this video helps you out. If you have any questions as to how I did this, some of the settings, I mean, literally anything. If the wiring, I wanted to do a full video on that, and I did not. I wanted to get that machine done for him, and videoing it was not really in the cards. So maybe when I do my machine, I will video it. Of course, I'm going to put a different board in there, but again, if you have questions that you need answered, let me know in the comments below, and I'll do my best to get to you within 24 hours. But yeah, this should be easy. Don't let this scare you. It's not that bad. And again, really the only thing you're doing is, if you don't want it to work, put that in front of it. If you do want it to work, don't put that in front of it, and it will turn green and it will work. And that's that. You can, when you're done, go over here and click save, and you're good to go. So if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click that thumbs up button. And if you haven't done it already, go ahead and punch that subscribe button, because you only get to do it once. And it's fun. And I'll catch you later. Peace.